Okay, can everyone hear me? Can I get either a thumbs up on the chat? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I heard that. All right, welcome everyone. This was a last minute hybrid coffee with the principal, so thank you for being here. Thank you for the people in the room that are here. Please note that I am recording this just for the folks that couldn't make it today. I can publish this on next week's newsletter. And so it is 6:01. So I want to delve in and respect everyone's time and begin. Forgive me if there's some small interruptions with allowing people that come in a little bit late, but that's the only delay that I foresee. Okay, so with that said, again, welcome everyone, and we're gonna go right into our first agenda item, and that will be introducing some of our staff. All right, so let's get right to that. And then so here, what I wanted to do is quickly, just in this same order, like I see our psychologist is on. If in this same order, Miss Bishop, if you can begin by introducing yourself and what you do. Hello.
Hi. I'm Sherry Bishop. I've been at Bonita Middle for a little over 20 years, and I'm happy to help with anything anybody needs. You can feel free to call me.
Thank you, Miss Bishop. And then Mr. Bonilla. He might be joining us from the baseball fields.
Yes, hi, this is Mr. Bonilla. I don't know if you can see my video, but yeah,
Yes.
I am here at, I'm always at baseball or soccer, so that's kind of where I'm at now. But Mr. Bonilla, and I work with students with the last names A through L, and I'm happy to meet everyone any chance I get, whether it's out in traffic or out from school. We're here to support you any way we can. So feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Bonilla. Mr. Sendejas.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alfredo Sendejas. I've been at, this will be my second year at Bonita Middle. Before that, I was at Bonita High School. In total, I've been with the district for about 23 years. Before that, I worked at 3 different universities in a community agency, and I work with all 7th grade students.
Thank you, Mr. Sendejas. So that's our 7th grade counselor. Ms. Conlin.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Conlin. I am new to Bonita this year, so I'm still getting to know everyone. I look forward to meeting all of our families. This is my 9th year as an assistant principal, so I have been at a couple different schools and know some of you from there as well. So I look forward to working with everyone. My part of the alpha is the latter part, so M through Z. But like Mr. Bonilla said, we work together with all of our kiddos. So I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Conlin. Ms. Gutierrez, are you present? Okay, so Ms. Gutierrez is our community relations facilitator. You'll be getting a lot of information about community events, parent events from her. So she works part-time at Bonita Vista High School and then also here at Bonita Vista Middle School. Okay, continuing, Ms. Holsey.
Good evening. My name is Laura Halsey. I'm the school psychologist at Bonita Vista Middle School, and I'm overseeing the special education department. So all 7th and 8th grade students that have IEPs. And this is my 7th year at Bonita Vista Middle, and I've been a school psychologist for 29 years. So I'm happy to be here and looking forward to meeting you all. And you can always email or call me if you have any questions or concerns about your students.
Thank you, Ms. Holsey. Next up, we have Ms. Schroeder, our ASB advisor and attendance tech.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mrs. Schroeder. I've been at Bonita Middle for 10 years now, and I've been with the district since 2009. I'm the ASB advisor and attendance coordinator. Throughout the school year, you'll be receiving many emails from me regarding different various events. associated with ASB, and then also with attendance. So if you have any questions or need help setting up independent study contracts or questions regarding Saturday schools, then please don't hesitate to reach out and email me through Infinite Campus or Jupiter. And I look forward to working with everybody this year.
Thank you, Ms. Schroeder. And then it looks like Ms. Gutierrez just joined us. Ms. Gutierrez, if you can hear me, would you mind introducing yourself and the role that you play here at Bonita Vista Middle?
Oh,
Ms. Gutierrez, are you there? Rosalinda? Well, if she comes on, then of course we'll allow her to introduce herself. For the rest of the staff, and then I'll also be sending out this PowerPoint on the newsletter next week, and I'll mention a couple things about the newsletter at the end. But it'll have all their contact information, and in our school website, all their contact information is available. So I just wanted to make sure to introduce them. So thank you, team. You are now dismissed, as I'll continue on with the rest of the meeting. But I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, you too. Okay, all right, so moving on, and let's see. Yes, okay, so and I'll try and hide this here and to figure out a better way of letting people in as I present. But one of the things that I wanted to introduce myself and just tell you that since day one, I got hired a couple weeks ago. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here. It's been wonderful these first couple of days. Student orientation has been wonderful. The first day of school, welcoming the staff back. Everyone's hardworking around here. They're very dedicated. So I feel I got lucky there were 3 schools. And I'm just really happy that I ended up at this school and the panel selected me for this school. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, obviously my name's Alex Salazar, and I've been with the district since 2004, where I started as an English teacher and then taught for about 9-10 years at Chula Vista and also at Olympian High School. And although I started as a middle school person at Granger. And then I got into administration the past 6 years, where I spent my time at Sweetwater High School. And so I did that for 6 years, both in the ASB as an assistant principal of student activities, and then as an AP in the front office. So 3 and 3. This is just, I wanted to share a picture. I'm actually a resident of Bonita. So another reason why I was really excited to not only live in this community, but now serve in this community. And, I live right off of Wild Oats. So hopefully we won't have any issues where you'll want to come visit me. And this is my family here. So I have a 26-year-old, right? And then I started over again, with my wife, Christy. And the little baby there, she's 2 now, that's Aria, and Jackson's 3, right? The one kind of leaning over, getting ready to cry because he didn't want to take that picture. That day was actually, I think it was Christmas Day, and we spent it up in Mammoth. We got COVID, I think, at that moment, to be honest with you. Our 26-year-old was coughing, etc. And so he ended up giving it to all of us. So thankfully, we're fine. We survived that. And so, yeah, just wanted to tell you a little bit about them. So again, it's Christy Salazar, my wife, Alex, my 26-year-old, Aria, my baby, and then Jackson, my other baby, really, even though they're toddlers now. So just a little bit about me, and continuing here. So one of the things that I opened up with, and that I wanted to be very transparent with our community, our school community, our students, our staff, is the first day I wanted to communicate what my role and my job is here. Number one, I'm here to make sure that your students learn. And that's that language there, causing a breakthrough in student achievement. A lot of things go into that, but at the end of the day, that's why I'm here. If our students aren't learning, and that's each and every student, then I'm not doing my job. As part of doing that job and working collaboratively as a team, my 3 main roles or responsibilities are to train and develop our staff. So that means working with our teachers as much as that means, and training and developing them through our PLCs on Fridays and classroom visitations, walkthroughs, but that also means working with our classified staff, working with our custodians to make sure that we keep up our campus, making sure that it's safe, working with our classified staff out in the front office, making sure that we're providing excellent customer service when our parents or community members come in. So that's one of my roles. The other one is that we create this spirit and this team. And there's small teams like the English team, the Science 7 team, the Science 8 team. There's a bunch of teams on campus. And I just need to make sure that they're working together, right? But they're all striving towards the same goal, okay? And that'll help us, right, create that breakthrough in student academic achievement. And then the last thing is that I don't get bogged down too much in one area, because if I do, right, and I don't allocate resources correctly, then I don't have that 50-foot vision. I can't watch out for the icebergs. I can't lead or drive us somewhere. And so I like being clear about that, and I like sharing that with people so they understand, you know, all the years that I've been in education, when I've worked with a principal, I've never liked not knowing what that principal was thinking or where we're headed to. And so I hope that I can be clear in all of that. Continuing. So I'm big on roles, and I'm big on team. I coached for a number of years, 12 to be exact, from middle school, high school. I ran a varsity program at Olympian High School for 6 years, the basketball program there when we first started that school. And so I feel that if we all do our part in playing our roles, we're going to have an awesome team. And so it goes back to creating that team. So with the students, since orientation, since that first day, even I was able to make it here during summer bridge. I said, okay, there's 3 roles that you have to play. COVID aside, illnesses aside, be here, be present. That's the first role. The second role, be positive. Maybe some of your students have already told you, but I do my best during passing period, during lunch. Come in and welcome. Thank you for being here. I try and be as positive as I can, and I interact with your children. And I talk to them about school. Today, my biggest thing was College Thursday. I kept hearing from the kiddos, oh, that's a thing? I didn't know that was a thing. And I go, I'm trying to make it a thing, so you gotta help me. And then I go, my polo didn't come in today, so I failed to participate in College Thursday. And so that was one of the conversations that I had, the many conversations that I had today with your students. And so while I ask them to be positive, I know that I have to model that. When they see me interacting with other staff members or with them, I have to model that positivity. The other thing is to be persistent in our learning. 6-week grading report comes, that's tested, right? We have accelerated classes here. We have a culture of pushing our students into accelerated classes here. And so at that first checkpoint, some students, they want to change, right? They want to change in their schedule. Some parents go, okay, I don't think he or she is going to make it. So with the proper support, they will. That's our role, to providing that support. But the student's role is to hang in there, stay persistent in your learning, right? And we're sensitive with that. I don't want to stress kids out. I get that, I'm level-headed, but we do ask that they're persistent in their learning. With parent roles, we ask that you stay involved. So when I talk to the staff and say one of you send us an email, I go, it's really important that we're responsive. And within 24 hours, we get back to our parents because I'm asking them to stay involved, to stay connected. So we're not meeting our mission in role definition if we're not responding to them. We're not being inviting if we're not responding to them. So that's a message that I communicate to our staff regularly since I've been here. and I'll continue to do so. And you'll find when you reach out to me, you'll hear from me within 24 hours. Right? We have to establish that partnership. Stay connected to school. And so let me make sure that, okay, sorry. Wanted to make sure that no emergency was happening. So stay connected to school. So part of staying connected to school is logging on to Jupiter Grades. You know, I referenced Ms. Gutierrez a little bit earlier on, the community relations facilitator, that if you don't know how to log on to Jupiter Grades, let me shift here so you can see. If you don't know how to log on to Jupiter Grades, she can show you. That's what she's there for. But that's part of staying connected, knowing how your students are doing academically, monitoring them. And staying connected just to your student as well. You know, it starts in middle school and then it intensifies in high school. It meaning they want that distance naturally, biologically, right? They want to start getting their independence, but it's also very vulnerable years that they're going through. And so they need a lot of support from all the adults in their lives. And so we ask, you know, for parents to play that role. Stay involved, stay connected to school. You all have, thank you, you know. And then right there, what it says is just to stay supportive, right? We have some young ladies out here, you know, they're trying out for cheer. They're giving it their best. I need to ask the cheer coach, how many do you keep? Because we start getting to that point where students try out for sports, but they don't all make it. And so that support sometimes is being there for our students when they come up short. As we all know, as adults in life, we sometimes come up short, and we take that, but we got to grow from that, and we got to continue. And so there's going to be plenty of opportunities, right, to do all these things. Continuing here. So our promise to our community. So another thing that we started with this year is just revisiting our mission statement. This mission statement was created, I believe, 3.5 years ago. And I'll just read it. Bonita Vista Middle School values the whole person, the whole student. And our mission is to prepare individuals for academic, personal, and professional success. We foster an environment that supports self-directed lifelong learners who adapt to innovations in society, have a sense of empathy, and make a positive contribution to the world. And so with this mission statement, that's how we started. I put that out in front of our staff and I said, so this is our promise to our community. And then I asked them, how are they going to commit to that? All the teachers answered and gave me their commitment on what they're going to do in their part and in their role to make sure that we're fulfilling this promise to our community. So it gave us a starting point. So just as I'm doing now with identifying roles, clarifying roles, I did the same thing with staff. A couple things just to mention about our mission statement, something that stands out, right? Whole person, and I'll speak a little bit to what we mean about that. So the whole person is nurturing the student to learn, right? So the academics, that's important. We value that. But the whole person means, so there's this also this social emotional development that goes on, especially during the middle school years. And so it's not ignoring that, right? Not paying attention to that. And so our teachers, in their approach to teaching and learning, that's the balance that we strive for. Let's set high expectations, but let's make sure that we're paying attention to our students on a social emotional level. If a student's having a hard day, let's be understanding. Let's be empathetic. If we want our students to have a sense of empathy, we have to model that as well. And so that's what we mean by whole student or whole person, as the mission statement states. Continuing. So this right here is a little bit heavy, but I thought that it was important to put out in front of you. I've been here, what, 6-7 days at this school, and these goals were here before I got here. And so a thing that was important for us to start off the school year is to put these goals out in front of our staff to see is this what we believe our goals are? And is 3 too many? Are we really going to emphasize 1? And just to start having those discussions. And we began those discussions day 1. And as you can see, there's really, right, an instructional goal. I wanted to get up and go into my teaching mode. We have an instructional goal. We have a PLC goal, and I'll explain that a little bit. And then, of course, we have that parent guardian engagement goal. And so when I look and I see that we have several parents here, almost 70 online, okay, it at least gives us a measure for future parent meetings, right? How's back to school night going to be attended? Are we really connecting with our students? Just to kind of double click on that third goal, advance and accelerate overall parent guardian engagement, not just via district and site websites, but also again, when our parents come and visit us on campus, are we welcoming, right? The custodian that greeted many of you, was he welcoming? I believe he was, right? I need to make sure that I'm welcoming. I need to make sure that we're organized, for our future coffee with the principal meetings. And then number 2, professional learning communities. It goes back to ensuring that our teachers are working together. If all the science teachers are working together, if all our English teachers are working together, our students are going to benefit. They're going to share best practices. They're going to push and elevate each other. And it goes back to that student learning piece. And then number 1, what that allows us to do is it allows us the effective first instruction. It allows us to key in the classroom, in the teaching and learning. And so we put that front and center. And with these goals, 2 things need to happen. We need to monitor them. We need to support them. So how are we going to monitor them? That's part of the discussion. So how are we going to determine if we're meeting our first goal, second goal, third goal? So again, 6th day here, collectively, we need to figure out what data points we're going to use to monitor these things. We need to ask if we have data points to monitor these things, okay? Okay, this is a short announcement about PTA. And so we used to have a PTA here, Parent Teacher Association. And then all of the folks that were on the PTA, their terms ran out. And they were unable to elect new officers, new members. So we're gonna have more information about the PTA and ways to get involved during open house. And what I'll say is, especially at a public school, when we don't always get funds to do certain additional things, we don't always have a lot of funding. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. PTA helps us to shore up some of that funding. And that funding could be used in a number of ways. That funding could be used, for example, at Olympian High School, we had a PTA there. We used it to buy some software, some grading software for the teachers. They would often do a lot of things to use either in the classroom or to celebrate teachers at the end of the year, which we're not giving any money for that. But there's a host of things that we can do that. If our goals are clear, we know how to use that money as well, right? And then so we create that type of alignment. Right now, we don't have a PTA, right? One of our other goals is to establish a PTA. Yes. It can, but we would just have to work through the district, through that language, through our legal department, just to make sure that we set it up correctly, of course. And then so we have why I said, more information will be provided, because our district liaison will explain that process and the different possibilities at open house. But good question. Okay. Continuing. Okay. So here, those were the main topics that I wanted to cover. Thought it was going to take a lot longer, but it didn't. I'm sharing 2 surveys. It's mainly going to be right now with the folks at home to share out, because I do want to know what types of topics you want covered at future coffee with the principal meetings. I also want to know if you want to start meeting in person, if you want to just do this virtually, or if you want to do it this way where it's both a hybrid meeting. And then the other one, and this I'll share a little bit about what's going on because I think it's very important, is a survey about International Baccalaureate program. So Bonita Vista High School has what's called an IB program, and it's similar at the high school level to the AP program. The students can get college credit if they test. At the middle school level, it's a school-wide program where it's about teaching 10 different characteristics and philosophies in every classroom. So teachers teach science, but they include, for example, reflection. Every teacher includes reflection. So it has to be part of their curriculum, part of their instructional strategies. Having that global mindset. So IB is huge on international, right? Becoming a global citizen. Some of you may be familiar with this program. Some of you may not. I'm going to start providing more and more information about IB because the way that we're moving with district-wide is we're looking to start making our schools more like specialty schools. At Bonita Vista Middle, 3 years ago, before COVID hit, the conversations about IB started surfacing. Hey, Bonita High School is IB, why are we not IB? And those discussions started. And they started picking up, and then the pandemic hit. So as you all know, what the pandemic did, it kind of put everything on pause. Some things improved, some things got put to the side. This was something that was put to the side, and now it's being brought back up for discussion. What I want to do is I want to have some feedback from the community to see how they feel about moving in that direction. At the same time, I know I have to provide more information. Last week's newsletter, and that'll be the last thing I talk about. Last week's newsletter, I provided some information. I provided a link and a PDF explaining the IB program. Because I want to see, you know, how our community feels. I want to be able to tell our district officials how our community feels about IB. And I've been given a quarter to get that information. And so I want to be very intentional in doing that. And so I provided a survey there for you to fill out. The last thing before we kind of open it up for some questions that I may or may not be able to answer at this time. The last thing is the newsletter. So I'm really excited about communicating with you all regularly. And I've started, I used WordPress, and then I realized, wait, there's a better template and a better plugin that I could use for a newsletter. So I'll be working on that this weekend. But I'm just trying to get information to you all weekly. As part of that information, I want you to know what's going on with the school. Yes, we have our website, but I also want to provide a newsletter. I also want to provide acknowledgements of any of our students or staff. And I've put out to all students and parents, if you want to be acknowledged, simply tell me. I want to celebrate us. I think that's important. And then other kinds of information like the ever-changing COVID protocols information are going to be there. And since they are ever-changing, it's something that you can check weekly, and I'll always give you the most up-to-date protocols. I will be improving as I get better with the tech, that newsletter. All right. And so like actually using a newsletter template. Right now I'm using just a blog template. So looks a little funky at times, but I'll be working on that, you know, moving forward. All right. What I want to do is take a slight pause. And if the people in the room, if you can just bear with me before any questions, I want to put in the chat those 2 links. And then again, this is being recorded and I'll mail this out. So I'll be able to do that as well. Oh, and Ms. Gutierrez, I see that you're here. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Rosalinda Gutierrez. I'm your community relations facilitator, and I'm here to support our parents too. Our principal, Dr. Salazar, he mentioned the parent roles. Well, I'm here to support you with that. We do want you to stay involved, stay connected, and of course, stay supportive. Well, I got all that information where you could do that, and you could come over on August 3rd at 9 a.m. We will be having a parent mixer at our state and federal building where you could come in and visit us on that day at 9 o'clock, or you could come on board through Zoom. You could connect there also. We will be talking about how you could get involved with school site council, with the ELAC, our district parent advisory council. We also have the Black Learners Advisory Group, Filipino Advisory Group, and the Parent Teacher Association that we're trying to build back up here at Bonita Vista Middle. In behalf of our parent sister PTSA that happened today at Bonita Vista High. We are concerned of what's happening at Bonita Vista Middle, and they encourage for us parents that are at Bonita Vista Middle that are coming on board, especially if you're coming in from elementary and you have participated with PTA or PTSA. We want to embrace you and really want to make you feel at home, like really quickly, so we could get this on board. That would be lovely. If you could give me a call, I'm always in room 201. I'm at Bonita Vista Middle on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And you will also see me along the way when you get to Bonita Vista High. And I'm at Bonita Vista High on Mondays and Wednesdays. So give me a call. I'm always looking forward to meeting our parents. Come and visit room 201 at Bonita Vista Middle. It's we're trying to embrace all our parents that come in there, and we're making it comfortable for you to come over and have a cup of coffee with me. Let's chat, let's get involved, let's stay connected and supportive. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Gutierrez, just one, since I have the ability to moderate, since you were speaking, will there be any opportunities for evening mixers, was a question?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. There is, as a matter of fact, we will be doing on the 10th of August from the 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. again at the state and federal building, and also from the comfort of your home through Zoom.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I know some questions are gonna pop up, and I wanna at least respond to those questions, but if you can bear with me, I'm going to post. Yes, and I see that there's already questions popping up. I'm going to post the surveys on the chat so that you can start filling them out, and then I'm gonna redirect my attention to questions, okay? All right, give me 1 second. Oh, thank you. It's always a partnership. I swear it is. Okay, and then so that one is the survey. Ooh, I have a misspelling there. It is a survey for Coffee with the Principal. Times, whether afternoon or evening frames work better, virtual, etc. So please fill that out. That's going to help us determine when we're going to have our meetings moving forward. And then the other one is a survey on the IB program. So I'm going to post that as well. And then Ms. Gutierrez, I'll share the responses of that first survey so that you're involved. And I know we're meeting next week. Okay, and then now I'll preface this. I will begin responding to the questions. If when I was talking, questions popped up and you put it in the chat box, all I ask is if you can ask them again, and I'll respond to them. Okay, so I'll begin. And so from the chat, for Jupiter Grades, will we receive a code to use when we log in? Yes, and that code should have already been sent. However, if we're newly registered, we'll have to send out those Jupiter grade codes again. And so I'll be taking notes and responding to your questions. Great question. Will there be, and I won't refer to names, I'll refer to the questions. So the Google Classroom, there's a Google Classroom question. Will there be parent training for Google Classroom for those teachers using Google Classroom instead of Jupiter Grades? Ms. Gutierrez, you can chime in, but I will also mention we do have a PowerPoint presentation that we can also share with you. I can share that in next week's newsletter, but I don't know if Ms. Gutierrez, you want to chime in on that one too?
At this moment, I don't know that we have one, but we could always email the information that you have. You said you have something, maybe we could send through Infinite Campus. We could send all our parents that video.
Yes, and it also gives us ideas for early, I'm thinking of the Spanish word for whatever reason, talleres or trainings on Google Classroom. When will teacher vacancies be filled? So we are currently working, for example, today, myself and the psychologist, we were on the phone as we try and hire 2 teachers in our special education department. We also have some vacancies in science that I'm waiting on a phone call back today or tomorrow morning. And then I'm also waiting for the jobs to post, which they should post next week. Because we have one person lined up to bring over as a science teacher and another potential candidate. So I do ask for your patience. I'm working with HR on this and we're trying to get those vacancies filled as soon as possible. So, but we are working on them every day. And I know that matters because that's yet another day that your student, son or daughter doesn't have their teacher in the classroom, but we are working on that every day. Once I have, I don't know, a more clear timeline or date, I will share that. I can just tell you that right now we're in the process of identifying teachers to bring on board to fill those vacancies. Yes, and then that's a similar question. Well, when will substitute teachers be replaced with permanent teachers? And this I can include in the newsletter because I suspect by our 10th day of enrollment, which is on next Tuesday, I will have that answer. That at least when we'll be able to have somebody in place. Will we have support groups for the parents and students in special education? And I'm just writing this down because these are some of the information that I'm going to bring back to certain folks like our psychologists. In the Google form, I usually always do this in every survey that I will send out. I will always leave a general, give me some feedback section. And I always read those because you tell us, hey, what we're lacking or what we need to provide. And so, for example, with our special education, one thing that I learned at our student orientation is, although we had breakout sessions, it was really geared towards our general education students, not our students enrolled in special education. So moving forward during that orientation, we are going to have a specific room in the psychologist dedicated, right, to service our incoming students that are enrolled in special education programs. Because that can be very scary. And Ms. Gutierrez, just know that you're not on mute. Okay. Okay, that great question. Who to contact when we have issues with uploading assignments back on Jupiter? So your primary contact is that teacher. So start establishing rapport with that teacher. That teacher will walk you through the process of uploading the homework assignments. They know, and they need to know too, because in case they had your students had trouble uploading those assignments, and you let the teacher know, not only will they tell you how to do it, but then they'll understand not to mark that student late, you know, or assign it a late grade. because they had a hard time simply uploading an assignment. So, and then all of our teachers' emails are available on our website. So will there be specific activities for GATE students? Right now, I know that though what we've been doing to enrich students identified as GATE to enrich their middle school experience, right now the limitation is that we try and push those students and we enroll them in our accelerated courses. So they go into our top courses, and there they do receive an enriched curriculum versus our general education students. Certain activities, I'll have to ask, again, 6th day here. I'm not aware that we have special GATE activities, but we might. So I don't want to speak too soon. Regarding the IB program, which I completely support, is this something current 8th graders will be able to be in, or is this something for future generations? So great question. No, unfortunately, this is a multi-year process. When a school decides to go IB, they're a candidate school for 2 years. So we submit the application and we're allowed to call ourselves a candidate school. And students may start benefiting from some of the approaches, but it's technically not, it's going to be a 2-year endeavor at least, just to be transparent. So it is something for future generations. Something that has come up, will IB, if adopted, replace DI? No, it will not replace DI. It won't replace different educational programs like our collaborative program for special education students, or a co-teach, or science accelerated in our science gen, what a science general. What it is it is 10 learner profiles that now teachers must adhere to and teach in all classes. In summary, right, to make it as basic as possible, but it does not replace. So for example, in a social science DLI class being taught in Spanish, it continues to be the social science class being taught in Spanish, but now they have to infuse those 10 learner profiles. They have to make sure that they're doing reflection activities, that their units are take the approach of the global perspective, not just say an American or a California perspective. So no, it would not. Next question, just to make sure. Can you talk about the possibility of revisiting the dress code policy as a BVM after looking at other schools, Eastlake Middle, Rancho Del Rey, among others? They are less restrictive and punitive, simplified to focus on what really impacts learning. I understand other schools have created communities that include parents. That would be a great opportunity for parent engagement here. Recently, very recently, I mean, we've only been in a couple of days, but very recently that topic has been brought up. One of the things that we want to make sure is that we're not in violation of Ed Code when it comes to our dress code policies. And there's some things in there that I need to further investigate. And that we're also not in violation with the district dress code. So the starting point is, I'm going to start with student services to get the clear language behind what our district states on dress code and then what Ed Code states. Because one thing we're not going to do is violate law. Yes. Yes. Yeah. What's inconsistent, right? You know, there's a rule for this, but then not a rule for that. One of the things that I can tell you that I know is our district policy around dress code is all about safety. And so it's, you know, and dress codes, I think most schools struggle with dress codes because there's, well, what about this? What about that? But just to respond, I know that the focus or the point behind the district dress code policies has to do with safety. For example, hooded hoodies over the head. And that's something that I've started talking about to our parents. If we have students on campus who have a hood over their head, right? And this happened, I don't know if it was here in California or in another state, but a parent, to make a point, wore a hood over their head and was at a school all day long and went from class to class. I don't know if you've heard about that, but with safety being at a premium and being such a focal point in public schools these days, that's an example of that's where the dress code is heavily enforced. Now, when it comes to other things like a hat, even what some might call revealing, wearing something that might be too revealing at school, that's the area where people have very, very different opinions, viewpoints. And so that's why I want to start with, what does that code say? What does the district guidelines clearly state? And then, as suggested, having a committee to start discussing these things, but based off of that criteria. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me, Dr. Salazar. Are you able to repeat the questions? Those of us who are joining virtually cannot hear what the question is in the room.
Yeah, sorry. The question was about revisiting our, kind of like your question, revisiting our dress code policy. And an example was brought up about a student being corrected in class about wearing a hat, yet another student that wore something that could resemble a bra, that was not enforced. And so it was another example of, hey, let's revisit the dress code. Okay. All right. How are languages offered to 7th graders? So we have Spanish. The way when our 7th graders come into our school, they either sign up for their classes, and they'll sign up in the spring. They'll sign up for a Spanish class, and then if there's room available, they get that class. Sometimes they're referred by a teacher from their elementary schools. And so that's how they get into those Spanish classes. In the past, there's been an assessment. Pre-COVID, there was an assessment that students took, a language assessment, to determine where to place them in a Spanish class. For example, whether they should enter a Spanish 1-2 class or a Spanish 3-4. And so right now, we have 2 of our assistant principals and a counselor and a teacher. We're working on how are we going to do this moving forward? Because again, when the pandemic hit, a lot of things went to the wayside. So now we're working back to revisit the old policies, the old requirements for our students to see if they make sense to bring them back, or if we need to do something differently. Yes. So great question. So the question was, are tests given in the MD? Yes, yes. Yes. So the question was, are students given a math assessment to be appropriately placed in math classes when they get here? So in a conversation today, we had a master schedule conversation, and the counselors, as I was asking some of these questions myself, between our accelerated English programs and accelerated math programs like compacted math, yes, the short answer is yes. They take those scores, the counselors do, they look at those scores to then properly place those students. So we have an influx of students who scored really high on those exams. And so probably by Monday, we're going to be opening up another section for math, compacted math 7 to meet that need. So they do use that. In English accelerated, which may talk a little bit to the other question that was brought up, it's based off of teacher recommendation. We don't have an assessment currently that we're looking at to place students in English accelerated, whereas we do for math. You're welcome. IB is the International Baccalaureate Program. Yes, and at it looks differently in high school. There's a diploma program, there's another track in high school, and then there's the middle years program, which actually runs middle school through 10th grade. And then we have also an elementary level program for IB. So they take different shapes and forms depending the grade level. Yes, and then when a question is asked in person, can you please repeat for the virtual parents? Yes, I will. I was told my grandson has a typical schedule pending receiving information from his elementary school. When will his schedule be finalized? Most schedules will be finalized by Tuesday. The counselors have 10 days to balance all the schedules based on contracts that we have to follow. We have to keep teacher contacts at 176. And so they have to balance all the classes, make sure that one teacher doesn't have 178 or 179. So a couple students may need to be removed from that class and put in another class. Sometimes that impacts the student's entire schedule. We try and keep that to a minimum, but we take the first 10 days to do that.
After I let the cleaner air out, I put that back on.
All right, and then Miss Mason, just know you're not on mute. We would be able to get a club. Would we be able to get a club or activities that can include or support students in special education classes and programs? Yes, a school can have different various clubs. That's something that I'm very familiar with at the high school level. That's something that I need to investigate here at the middle school level in working with our ASB advisor, Ms. Schroeder, on our school clubs, which tend to meet either at lunchtime or advisory or even after school. And so I will write that down. Thank you. Is there a calendar of student activities for the year? So another ASB type of question. Right now I'm working on Ms. Schroeder to make sure that we do publish that. And so that I can't tell you specifically when that's going to happen, but we will have that out fairly soon. Calendar. Okay, how can my students get in Spanish class now? He has had no prior classes. So we do have entry-level Spanish classes they're not all advanced classes, and it would be, we start with our counselor. Our counselors do take in the course requests. I know they have an online form on our website. If you go to the counselor's corner, there's a form there. again, we're still balancing and making class changes through day 10. So that's still a possibility. Spanish, so it can meet, if it's an advanced class, it can meet an A through G requirement, or it can be taken as an elective. So yeah, because in middle school, you have your 4 core, which is your English, science, social science, and math.
Dr. Salazar, could I just going on that question and your answer there? I just want to point out, we didn't come from a feeder school, but we live in the district in the zone for this school. And while we were registered on time, we weren't given the elective form. I had to actually request it long after the fact. And so I just want to point the inconsistency and the inequity out there. For folks not coming from the feeder school, we weren't given the same opportunity to select our desired elective at the same timing as others. And I think that would be something to just keep an eye out for next year.
Okay, so the elective form, and then I want to repeat that for the folks that are at home listening in. So you did not come from one of the feeder schools, and therefore you were not given that opportunity to select your electives as the students coming from feeder schools were. Got it. Okay, so this is something that I'm writing down to look into.
I was like, hey, what's going on?
Sorry, versus non-feeder schools. Okay. Okay, thank you for bringing that up. Okay, and then here we have, I want to share, oh, it went away. Okay, please email Aram Abdullah. He's our bilingual tester at sweetwaterschools.org for the Jupyter code. So if you still need a Jupyter code to log into your Jupyter, please email Aram Abdullah at sweetwaterschools.org. And I'll make sure to include that in next week's newsletter as well. And we'll continue here, just 1 second. Okay, I have a couple minutes here. The process for transfers is different, yes. Okay, so that's something to look into.
And to clarify, we're not transfers.
Okay,
We
just
simply didn't come from feeder school.
got it. Okay, and so the clarification is that this particular family, not transfers, just didn't come from one of the feeder schools. With the okay, how is security measures at school, or what are they? First we have an assistant principal solely dedicated to safety on campus, who will run all of our drills this year at different points of the year, which include our fire drills, our secure room, our lockdown drills, our clear out drills, earthquake drills. So we run those. We have to, every school has to go through our evacuation routes, and we know our processes. We also have 2 campus assistants. We have 2 assistant principals, myself. We're regularly out every period. We have 2 lunches. And so we have people stationed in strategic places so that there's always adult supervision. There's always eyes on our kiddos. And then I'm also the rover. And so I make sure routinely, ask your children, they will tell you, I'm always walking, and sooner or later I'll interact with your child. Because that's my goal, every single student. But on another note, I make sure that none of our gates are left unsecured. Sometimes, for example, today I was walking by a staff restroom and it was slightly propped open. And I went over there, opened it, sure enough, it wasn't shut all the way. And so one of the things that I've learned in my years of administration is that prevents a lot of things. Just doing this, just being curious and nosy. And so collectively, we do these things during lunch, during nutrition break, and then during passing period, before and after school also. Yes, ma'am.
But I feel like everyone has the answer and not all the tools. We have pros, we have this, but I think I think here you guys are really see you guys present. There's people with little cart and go around.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about cameras, like
Yes.
where's our rock, to the office. It's not like a prison. Some people say prisons. I'm not asking for prisons, I'm asking for something more today than there was before our institution were as close together as they are now. And I think that that's important that the districts are, again, financially responsible, because at the end of the day, they're the ones with money. They're the ones that should be doing something different, not just putting it on to be girls. And what I heard from the district would be programs. Maybe we can one every month. That's not a lot. There's things that cost money.
Yeah. So let me summarize for the folks at home. So the question / comment was, hey, so who's responsible financially for the security of and safety of all the campuses across the district? So we do have actually a safety officer specifically assigned for safety. And with the district and with the district's money as we allocate resources, we work with his department. It's John Chakowski. Right, former Navy SEAL, and we work with things like getting cameras on campus. The school that I used to work at, we had several cameras on campus, and we needed more. And so we would work with him to, hey, can we please get some cameras? Some principals, if they see that it's a real need at their school, will tap into their discretionary funding to purchase cameras. If I see that that's a real concern here, that's something that I'm going to look into. 6 days in, I'm still taking stock. I'll continue to take stock, but just to answer your question, it would be, you know, the person that you know, and then the sites work with his department. It's 7:03. I want to look to see if I can answer at least one more question, but I also want to be mindful of everyone's time. So I'll look for one more question, and at the same time with the surveys that I put out, if you have any other concerns or questions, please put them there, and then I can definitely get back to you. Okay, and so there's comments. Could there be more supervision for the bathrooms? Yes, we station mail. Okay, so the last two questions, and then I'll conclude the meeting if that's okay with everyone. Supervising the bathrooms. The bathrooms are probably one of the most vulnerable areas on campus because they have stalls. They have a wall, so when someone, you know, walking by can't look in to see, you know, someone adjusting themselves or what have you. So one of the things that we try and do is go in, right? So a male will go into the boys' restroom. A female will go into the girls' restroom. And we try and do that periodically throughout the day. We have specific people assigned to those restrooms that go in and check. In the boys' restroom, if I ever see a group of boys go in there, I do follow. Just want to make sure that they're doing the right thing, making the right decision. The last question is, I noticed that 2 APs have done cross guard duty at Ridgeback. Will that continue, or is that a rotating role? So there will continue to be 2 APs at Ridgeback, which is what I call the back of our school. That'll continue to happen. Our 2 APs will be there. On Thursday mornings, I have a Monday morning meeting. And so then we split them. We have one up front and then another one out back. And so that's the only time that they're split. The other times they're back there. If I see though that that's a security concern and we need to regularly have the 2 APs back there based off of feedback, I can always move around or do something differently so I don't have that Thursday morning meeting. Okay, I just want to mention, one of you said I only saw 1 survey, so I'm going to send out these surveys through the newsletter. Please look out for that. I'm going to work on improving the format and the structure of the newsletter and also the delivery. But I just want to say thank you. I'll send out those surveys, which will give you a platform to voice any other questions or concerns or comments that you might have. All right, so all in all, we had a lot of folks show up. Hopefully we can reach 100 next time. We had roughly around 86 to 90 participants today. So thank you so much. This concludes our meeting. All right, thank you. I'll stop recording now. We do, great question. And for those of you that are still there, do we have, you're welcome, thank you. Thank you. Do we have an open house date? We do. It's going to be Thursday, August 11th. It will be virtual only. That was communicated to us yesterday. So it'll be Thursday, August 11th. Virtual only. Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to end the meeting now.